doesn't mean I'm not into you, doesn't mean I'm having sex with someone else, doesn't mean I'm gay. It just means no to fucking Thursday.
How about Friday?
Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Give her a hand.
Stand a little taller. Doesn't mean I'm lonely when I'm alone. What doesn't kill you makes you fighter. What does keep it lighter? Doesn't mean I'm over. 'Cause you know what doesn't kill you makes you.
Hi, I'm Tony Robbins. I want to thank you for joining me for this film. I think you're going to find in the next few minutes you're going to be exposed to some great tools to not only make a difference in your own life, shift the things you want to shift, change the things you want to change as rapidly as possible, but maybe even more importantly, learn some tools that you can use to help those you really care about most. Whether you're a leader of a large organization with thousands of people that you want to be able to make a move and help them to shift now, or whether you're a therapist, a helping professional, a parent, or maybe just a good friend who really just cares and you want to make a difference, I think what you're going to see in this film will have a deep impact upon you and empower you to make that difference you've been looking for. Let me give you a little background on myself, if I may, just for a moment. I've been pursuing an obsession for 25 years, and that obsession is the answer to a question, which is what makes people do the things they do? Why do we do the things we do the way we do them? And I've had the privilege now of working with people from 80 countries around the world, more than 3 million people from virtually every walk of life. From the kids addicted to cocaine in the South Bronx to the top CEOs in Hollywood addicted to cocaine. You know, the same patterns that we see everywhere in the world, from top athletes, presidents of countries and companies, to parents and children. And during that time, I've begun to see that there are patterns to human behavior. And I've had a unique experience living at this time in human history where I've been able to be with people from not only diverse areas, but diverse parts of the world. Those patterns stand out. You begin to see that what people do is somewhat predictable. In these films, we're going to start to see how we really approach our lives and how we can really change them. Now, one of the biggest challenges we all have as a society is our culture teaches us to believe that we have limitation. It teaches us to believe that we are the product primarily of our environments. And in fact, the solution in most cases is to drug somebody. More and more we see this determinism. But anyone who's honest with themselves, with just a basic investigation, can see that often in life, it's the people that are given everything. They have tremendous love from their family. They have a great education, great background, economic choices. Very often those same people that are given everything don't turn out so well. They may spend the rest of their life going in and out of rehab. And then we find other people that seemingly have every challenge imaginable. They are ignored, they're abused mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually. They don't have the advantages of the education, and somehow, very often, those individuals become the people in society who contribute the most back, those that inspire us and those who touch us. So there's no clear answer that life turns out a certain way because of a certain thing. One thing is clear. We have the power of choice, and the decisions we make day to day about two things, what things mean and what we're going to do, shapes our destiny. Now, what do I mean? Well, what these films are really about are the lessons of life mastery. Those lessons in life that none of us are really taught, because no matter how successful we become, life is always going to be there with a surprise. I don't care how happy you are right now or successful, there's a challenge waiting, and that's not being negative, it's being real, and we both know it. So these films are about the real challenges that show up for real people. They are unedited, uncut, raw experiences, but showing you how change can happen faster than you may have ever thought before, and giving the tools to make it happen. In fact, what's unique about these films, I think more than anything I've ever been a part of, is if you read a book or if you listen to tapes, someone can work with you and they can show you, here's the challenge, here's the solution, here's how to go about it. But in these films, you have the unique experience of witnessing the transformation as it happens. And as you witness it, you get a chance to experience it within yourself, and then you have a chance to go back and master it. That is to make these same changes in yourself, and maybe if you'd like to, be able to use the tool to help someone else that you really care about. There is one challenge, though. Normally, when you sit down to watch a DVD or go to a movie, they've spent $200 million to make that thing. And they planned it so that the moment that popcorn enters your mouth, boom, something's happened in those first few seconds to grab you. I mean, the explosion goes off, you know, the bank robber breaks out. There's that sensual tension that you know is happening between these two people, and something's going to happen. Well, life's got a challenge. It's messy. And so in the beginning of these films, you got to stay with me for the first 10 or 15 minutes. Because those first 10 or 15 minutes, what I've got to do is what you've got to do. I've got to get into what's really going on with these people. Because so often in life, when people tell you what their problem is or their challenge is, it isn't what it really is. You know that from your own life experience. So the first part is kind of like diagnosing what's going on. So stay with those first 10 or 15 minutes, and then you'll get hooked. Because then you'll start to witness your life or the life of somebody you really care about or somebody you work with right there before your eyes, and you'll be seeing the changes happen and you'll be learning. Because we all learn best when we don't know we're learning. When you watch a movie, if it's a great movie, you associate to the main character and you experience what they're feeling, their challenges, their upsets, and ultimately their triumph. The same thing happens here, only it's based on something that's real. Now, the final thing I'll tell you is this, that you also have to be aware that I'll do anything to help someone to break their pattern. Because what stops us are these limiting beliefs, these limiting behavioral or emotional patterns. And I'll do anything. I'll make myself look like an idiot. I'll be silly, stupid, weird, bizarre, gross, sexual, anything. I'll use some adult language, and I'm not using that to be, harsh or to interrupt the person in a mean way. But if you know anything about the tradition of Freud, he understood that most of us use language as a defense mechanism to kind of stay in our box. If you ask somebody, how's it going, very often they'll say things like, oh, pretty good. And it's not good at all. If they were to be honest, you get very different language. So to break that pattern, I'll use words that'll be more provocative. If I said to you something like your rear end, you have one reaction. But if I use the word ass, it may jolt you. And obviously there'll be words that'll be a little more intense than that. And finally, the narrator here is Chloe Madonis. Chloe is a world-famous psychotherapist and trainer of psychotherapists around the world. If you're a therapist, I'm sure you know who she is. And her job is not to entertain you, but as we're doing this, to point out what we're doing so you understand how to make the shifts that are occurring in yourself and in the other people that you might want to help later on as well. This is one of a series of films. This is a system. Lessons in Mastery. Each one promises a different set of lessons, a different set of skills, and a different kind of transformation for you or anybody you want to share this film with who's watching. I will tell you that in life, at different stages, we're interested in different things. It's maybe right now your business is going really great, so you're all excited about that, but maybe your personal life is not quite where you want it to be. Or if your personal life's great, maybe your intimate relationship's not where you need it to be. Or if that's great, do you have enough time with your kids? If that's great, what's happening with your health? If that's great, what's happening with your finances? So at different times, different things will appeal to us, but you'll find that each film has a universal lesson, one that can penetrate beyond the facade of what we think we want right now and to what we really need. Because the base of this all is really understanding human needs. When you understand that, you can experience not just achievement, not just success, not just happiness, but fulfillment. And that ultimately comes not just from meeting our own needs, but finding a way to really serve beyond ourselves. Growth and contribution are the ultimate human needs. I hope as you watch, you experience that expansion of yourself. And if you do, I hope I have a chance someday to meet you and hear the story of how you use this to make a difference.
This series of personal transformation films is a comprehensive system for creating change in your life as well as helping others, covering topics such as creating passion in your life, growing and enjoying your relationships, intelligent parenting, living your true purpose, overcoming personal loss, finding inner strength, making life decisions, and creating leadership in times of crisis.
In this film, you're going to witness not only the transformation of one woman, a woman who made an ancient decision that had controlled her entire life, late into her 60s, but you're also going to see how making new choices by transforming herself, how she's been able to transform literally 4 generations. And you begin to understand how you can make similar decisions now. Because no matter who we are as human beings, there are decisions we made at some stage of our life that are still impacting us. For many of us, we're living a life today as an adult that we designed at 17 or 12 or sometimes as little as 5, 6, 7, or 8. The essence of our life is being driven by the same beliefs that we developed back then about what life's about and who we are and what we're supposed to do with our lives. When we shift that area of our life, that originating thought, everything shifts. The greatest shift is we have the opportunity to reclaim our true identity as opposed to whatever the environment has conditioned us to believe. So I hope that this will have as much impact on you as it did me as I had the chance to work with Lisa. So please join me now with Dr. Chloe Madonis.
I'm very happy to share with you this film about the work of Anthony Robbins. At a large conference, he characteristically addresses the challenges of one of the participants. Engaging the person in conversation, he offers practical solutions to their issues. I will guide you through this film, analyzing the interventions and offering a series of steps that you can use to create changes in yourself and in others. If you ever feel constrained by your identity, if you find yourself not being able to do things that you think you might be capable of doing, it is most likely that there was a time in your life in which you made a key decision that has shaped the way you look at life, the way you interact with people, and the results you're getting today. If you want to expand your ability, your choices, and your freedom, you will find this film extremely valuable. The film is also a story of a family in crisis and how one individual's decision can influence not only themselves, but generations to come. How generations can be literally changed the moment one person makes a new decision. This intervention starts after Robbins had just explained a framework designed by Claire Graves, which describes 7 stages of human development and motivation. 2 of these stages have bearing on the initial conversation in this intervention, the stage of survival and the stage of power. A woman, Lisa, raised her hand with a question about the survival stage. She described a typical power confrontation with her husband, the red stage, during which she slips into a survival mode where she feels vulnerable and afraid. She states that she hates these lapses of control and implies that she would like to overcome them.
Yes. Question about survival.
Yeah, well, not survival. But I wrote down that when my husband goes 3, the red,
Yes.
I automatically go red also, but when it goes on for a while, I go survival. I go kind of,
Yes.
This is a matter of life and death, and if I'm not going to be, in one way, it's life-threatening. It isn't.
Right,
really.
but it feels like it is.
It feels like it is.
Yes.
He wouldn't hurt me for anything.
And what happens when you do that?
I cry, I get scared.
Yes. Yes.
I get...
What does he do?
He gets confused.
Now, when you do that, is she using masculine energy or feminine energy? See, a lot of people see this as weakness. So when you went into those places, you did go into some fear, but you also went into all kinds of emotions, and he doesn't know how to deal with that. He knows how to deal with another man. So when you get to be another man, you both go into red, bam, bam, you. I mean, then it's 2 men arguing, and of course, that's not going to be a really great thing because it's not going to solve anything. But what you do is you break his pattern when you go into feminine.
Robbins immediately challenges Lisa's assumption that vulnerability is weakness. Vulnerability can be a source of power in the same way that sometimes there is weakness inherent in a position of strength. Every person, to have balance in relationships, must be able to sometimes be vulnerable and sometimes be strong. Lisa gave up the possibility of being vulnerable long ago, and only now, at 68 years of age, has begun to experience moments of vulnerability that confuse her and her husband. In our culture, vulnerability is associated with femininity. So in refusing to experience vulnerability in her relationships, Lisa gave up many of the pleasures of being a woman. We will see how Robbins discovers the root cause of her loss of femininity and helps her recover her feminine self. He begins by challenging her identity as a woman.
He doesn't know how to deal with you being vulnerable. He does not do that. Vulnerability is power. It's not a weakness. If you can be vulnerable and feel, that means you're connected to what's really true instead of like trying to protect yourself. And then you know what? You can break a pattern when you're being real.
I hate it.
I know, because look at you. You're a man. You've been working to be a man most of your life. Oh, I'm not being insulting. Let's just tell the truth. You're a man. You're a fucking man. Look at yourself. The way you hold yourself, the way you stand. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not making criticism, honey. I don't have any criticism. I want you to have what you deserve. Now, maybe you're masculine inside. I don't think so. You just described to me what you do under enough stress. That's not what a masculine energy does, enough stress. It gets more intense.
Robbins uses intense language as a way of breaking through formalities and niceties in order to quickly establish an honest connection. In these first few minutes of talking with Lisa, Robbins has already discovered her core issue. Here he offers a story that is a metaphor about the power of vulnerability. The story counters Lisa's view that vulnerability is weakness. It is also designed to address all the people in the audience who share this belief.
I'll tell you an interesting example. There's a man, I'm trying to think of his name, it'll pop in my head, I'm sure, but he wanted so much to achieve his goal that he worked for 2 years to think this goal through and imagine and visualize and work out every single detail he could until finally the day arrived. And that day was a sunny day when he woke up because he was excited. He knew this was his day, the day he was finally going to achieve the ultimate goal that would make him somebody, give him a sense of ultimate what? Significance. Because he'd been a busboy. And for a masculine man as a busboy, didn't feel like much of a thing, so he didn't want that. So he had this plan, and he knew it was going to work. And it was a sunny day, and he went down to the parade that day, and people were so happy, and the sun was in the air, and children were around, and people were just having the greatest time. And sure enough, he had planned everything to level detail like a man would. He's really thinking it through. And he calculated it all, and he was so prepared. This wasn't spontaneous, it's prepared. He'd organized it, he'd written journal notes about it, everything. And sure enough, here comes the parade, and there's the President of the United States. And the President gets out of the car, and he's walking with Secret Service men on either side of him. And he's walking along, coming closer. He feels his heart racing, because this is his moment. And just as he does that, he reaches his pocket and feels the steel of the gun that he's going to use to kill the President of the United States. This is a true story. And the President is now coming to him, and the President is almost within his range, just close enough, but he wants to be certain he can kill him. And he gets the gun, and he's got his hand on the gun, he's about to pull it out, and he's going to fire on the President because the Secret Service guys are distracted aside. He's right within point-blank range. And just as he does it, he feels the excitement of that moment, the uncertainty of it, the sense that significance can be here, and the certainty that he can do it all at once in his body. And as he goes to reach, all of a sudden, bam, something hits him, and he whips around. And he's so angry because somebody's interrupting him in the peak of this, because men don't like it when you knock them out of that state and they're doing shit. They can only do one thing at a time. Can't kill somebody and have a conversation. So he whips around so angry, and there standing is this really soft, beautiful, gentle, grandmotherly-like woman, purely feminine. And she looks at him, and he looks at her, and then he looks back at the person coming here, and she grabs him just real arm, and she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And she gives him all this feminine love and connection. And his hand's on the gun, and she's touching his arm, and she's looking at him like this with all this love and connection, and the President's coming, and he took his hand off the gun. And Arthur Bremer wrote in his journal that it was the moment he planned for 5 years. His entire life's goal was there. But he just couldn't do it because she was so sweet, and he never had somebody be so loving to her, and he couldn't make her witness that. So he spent the next 2 years, instead of killing Richard Nixon, he went out and shot Governor Wallace. And he's still in jail to this day. He didn't dislike Richard Nixon or Wallace either. He called Nixon Tricky Dick. He thought he was brilliant. But toothpaste had more significance than he did. So he died for it. The power of connection and love, the power of vulnerability can stop a killer.
Robbins now has Lisa unconsciously identified with the beauty and power of a grandmotherly type woman, which she is, and through the story has recognized her ability to influence others.
And that's your power, and you think it's your weakness. That's why you dress the way you dress, that's why you hold yourself the way you hold yourself, and that's why you really are fearful, because you've been living a life that you're not.
Right now, I think I'm confused.
She's confused!
Robbins chose a metaphorical story of violence because when Lisa first stood up, she was concerned about violence with her husband. Lisa knew that Robbins was telling this story in relation to her, yet she could not quite connect how it was relevant. The telling of metaphorical stories typically leads to an altered state of consciousness. In this state, Lisa was able to admit that she was confused. The audience applauds because they are familiar with Robbins' belief that a state of confusion immediately precedes a new realization. In other words, a breakthrough.
I don't believe I said that. I knew.
You don't believe you said that?
Robbins has picked up on two of Lisa's physiological habits that bear on the question of vulnerability and stoicism. The first is a shrug that suggests detachment. The second is a cringe of discomfort that is a defense against the possibility of being judged or attacked. Robbins counteracts these habits by physically modeling an almost exaggerated smile, laugh, and bodily gestures of openness. You will see Lisa gradually overcoming these habits and opening up physically and emotionally to Robbins and the audience.
No?
Yeah, because you would never normally admit you're confused. Because men don't want to be confused.
No,
They
but
want to
not
be
here.
control.
Not here.
What's that?
I wouldn't say it here.
You wouldn't say it here. Where would you say it?
Kind of, I know.
Yeah, that's, I know. There's a fucking man. I know. They don't know shit. I know. Don't men do that all the time? I fucking know. Because they're supposed to know, so they gotta know. Even if they don't know, they act like they know. It's just a man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
But I do know. This thing I don't know.
Well, I think you do know, but it's like, I think we've had too much dancing.
Yes. Maybe.
How often do you dance naked around the house? And play with yourself?
It's too cold in Norway to do that.
Robbins uses dancing and direct conversation about sexuality to disrupt old patterns. Because his comments are not expected in normal, polite conversation, they interrupt Lisa's well-oiled, habitual patterns and provide an opportunity for new input.
There's a fucking man. There's a fucking man thinking logically about the flow of emotion. No, honey, you can't do that now because it's too cold. That's a total man. Logic. Is there any logic to this? No. So the fucking weather doesn't matter.
Once a year?
Once a year.
Every other year?
Every other year. Every other decade? Every other decade? No? Once every other year?
Yeah.
I see. How long do you dance like that, naked, and play with yourself?
Not long.
There's a man.
5 minutes.
There's a man.
Robbins unexpectedly introduces the idea of dancing as a metaphor for feminine spontaneity. Lisa could have flatly responded that she never dances alone, but she didn't do that. She said once a year, so Robbins sees the feasibility of exploring her femininity. He escalates by adding the image of purely feminine, uninhibited abandon. Lisa responds with humor and so loosens up physically and emotionally. Robbins has disrupted her habitual pattern of looking at things from a position of control and authority, and so prepares her for the possibility of change. Only now, when Robbins has established a teasing connection with the feminine side of Lisa, does he ask the crucial question.
Tell me about your father.
My father was huge, very tall and very fat.
Tall and very fat. What was he like, though? Do you know?
Yeah, he was, he had rules.
He had what?
Rules.
Rules, yes,
There
I
were
can see
rules
that.
and regulations.
Rules about what?
Regulations.
Not just rules, rules and regulations. So did he live by those rules or did he impose them?
He lived by many rules, but some of them, like stealing and lying, he wasn't too strict upon. But when it was me, it was very strict.
I see. How did you respond to these rules?
I sabotaged them sometimes, and then I got beaten.
Yes.
If I got caught, I got better and better at not being caught, but I got caught.
Yes, I can see that. And when you got caught and you got beaten, what did you do to deal with it?
I didn't laugh, of course, but I couldn't care less.
That's right. You got harder, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And tougher.
Mm-hmm.
So you became a man to try to survive.
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened if you would have cried and gone crazy? What would he have done? You don't know.
I have a guess, because my sister cried and he stopped.
That's right.
I thought it was humiliating.
I know, honey. I know.
But I didn't want him to win.
I know, honey.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't very nice.
It was horrible. It was abusive. It was wrong. If he was here, I would let him know in ways he would not forget. But instead,
he was a nice man, Tony. He was a nice man.
He was not a nice man to you.
I loved him.
I know you still do.
Mm-hmm.
So you became like him, but just not as an unjust. Because you loved him. And you figured he wouldn't respect you if you bent. So if you couldn't have love, at least you have connection. And if it was violent, at least it was connection. Because it's much better to have violence and be significant enough to interact than to be ignored. Isn't it?
And I consider it kind of courageous. And he was very much into that. He was talking about courage all the time.
Yeah. So you try to become his son in order to get his love.
Yes.
Did it work?
Not when I was a child. When I was adult and achieved, then he was very proud of me.
How many saw her face change just now? Raise your hand if you saw it.
In the last few minutes, we have learned everything we need to know in order to understand Lisa. 60 years ago, she made the decision of how to respond to her abusive father. Only now, in relation to Robbins, in the presence of more than 2,000 highly supportive people, does she suddenly understand that there had been a choice to be made. Let's look at Lisa again as she has this insight.
You don't know.
I have a guess because my sister cried and he stopped.
That's right.
I thought it was humiliating.
I know, honey. I know.
Lisa's sister responded to their father with vulnerability and so avoided his abuse. Lisa's courage and strength brought her instead further abuse and caused a schism between the sisters, since Lisa couldn't help but resent the fact that her sister was not abused while she was. The strength that was required to stand up to her father became a value that determined many of Lisa's choices throughout her life. By the same token, Lisa rejected her sister's choice of vulnerability as a source of power, and therefore we can anticipate that Lisa will reject this choice throughout her life. Robbins now inquires further into Lisa's history as a young adult.
I went to school with only boys.
You went to school with only boys?
Mm-hmm. At the veterinary college at that time, it was only men. And of course, I didn't participate in all the boy kind of things, like...
Right. So your connection, but you've always wanted love. You've always settled for connection, haven't you? But that's not love, is it?
That's why my relationships also go bananas.
What does that mean?
They kind of die.
They kind of die. Because when it's based on connection, it's not based on love. It doesn't last. Plus, you keep picking men, don't you? Do you pick strong men or weak men?
Well, my first husband was weak.
Yeah.
And he got weaker. He became...
Well, he'd be attracted to you because you're so strong. There'd be polarity there. By the way, can you have polarity that way, yes or no? Absolutely. So why did that end?
So...
Why did that one end? Your first husband.
The therapist said I had worked for 15 years to create a butler, and when I finally succeeded, I found out I didn't want a butler.
That's actually one of the best things I've ever heard a therapist say. That's right. You got yourself someone you could control and direct and would meet all your needs, which is what you thought you wanted, because at least then you wouldn't have fear, right? But all that did was make you more masculine, and then you were bored. So then, what was your second husband like? Did you get a masculine man this time?
No.
No, same thing again?
In one way, it's kind of like the passion goes away.
Do you have children?
Yes. Yes, I have 2 children.
Boys or girls?
1 boy and 1 girl.
Robbins is following certain steps to help Lisa reclaim her full identity. First, he playfully challenges Lisa's limiting identity and gets the audience to encourage her by cheering and laughing at the right moments. He questions her femininity. The second step is to discover the key decision that predisposed her towards the present circumstances. One of the ways of recognizing the key decision is to entertain the other alternatives that had been available at a crucial time in her life. For Lisa, her key decision was rooted in early childhood in relation to her father's violence. It is important also to understand the way the key decision served a purpose at the time. For Lisa, it was a way of avoiding humiliation, connecting to her father, and differentiating herself from her sister. The third step is to emotionally connect to the negative consequences that the key decision has created for the person's most significant relationships. In a moment, you will see Robbins asking Lisa about her son. The next 4 steps will be explained as the conversation progresses between Robbins and Lisa. Robbins will now ask Lisa about her son, anticipating that her relationship with him would have been affected by her relationship with her father.
Does he know what he's here for and just make it happen, or is he running around so...
No. He knows. He's a chiropractor. He runs a nice practice.
That's nice.
He knows, but he has difficulties in the relationship to his wife.
Yes.
She left him.
She what?
She left him.
She left him. Why do you think? Why do you think she left him?
Well, at that time I thought it was because she's a bitch.
But what do you think now? Why did she leave him?
Maybe it's the same kind of thing.
What same kind of thing?
Like he is not a man in the relationship with her.
That's right.
And
you stay with it. You got it right now. You got it right now.
Yeah, she's not me, and but she.
Yeah, there you go. Stay right there. You got it.
Yeah, he has made, or not made her, but in one way made her act as me.
That's
and
right.
She isn't me.
That's right.
And so the whole thing is really much more fucked up than in one way. I didn't waste all the money. I didn't do all those more crazy kind of things that
Yes.
he went along with, you know.
Yeah. You didn't waste all the money. I didn't hear that part. You didn't waste all the money. What?
Like, well, I don't want to be judgmental towards her.
Yes.
But I disagreed strongly on much of the things she did. You know,
Yes.
like spending, you know, going shopping, using up money.
Going shopping. You mean she didn't go hunting like a man would be, but she went out and...
Okay. But I think he
right, though.
became like his father. He became like his father.
Yeah. And his father was like what?
Well, he became important.
That's right. It sounds like he probably was masculine, but his idea of what love would come would be in a masculine form from a woman, since that's what you've shown him so often. And his father was feminine. And he actually found a girl, it sounds like. But they were fighting to be who was going to be the most girl, so there was no polarity, and she probably left because she didn't have a man with presence, and he probably made himself feel significant by his work. Since he was so ineffective in his relationship, he'd go to his work. And his work would work, and now he's losing half his work. And his wife.
Yes.
So you diagnosed it correctly.
It's
You seem to know a lot.
It's terrible.
Pardon me?
Yeah, in one way, it's very sad.
It is extremely sad. How much more longer will you contribute to this?
No, I want to stop it. I want to...
Well, you can't stop it by talking about it. Your son's never going to change when his only role model is you.
Well,
See, he would be in a position where he'll never be a man as long as you're his father. And his mother.
I can't do much about his father.
I said as long as you're his father and his mother, he'll never be a man. You are his father, aren't you?
Well, he has a father.
No, I didn't ask you that. I said you are his father, aren't you?
Yeah. Now I got it. I understand it.
So how will he ever have the possibility of knowing who he is as long as you're constantly being his father? You have to become his mother. And you let him, he needs to grow up. And he needs to see what his responsibility of life is. And he needs to know that feminine energy, even though you've shown him as his mother, the person he loves most and the person who's influenced him most is you. True or false?
That's true.
Okay. And your idea of femininity is it's weak and it's negative and it's terrible. So how could he ever have a great relationship with a feminine woman when everything you embody and have taught him and demonstrated is that is weakness and it's ugly and it's terrible, and you're his role model of love and you're masculine. So he has to go get a woman who's masculine, but he probably really is masculine himself. So his adaptation is become feminine so he can be around that. But he's going to still, since he's masculine, be attracted to feminine women. So he's never going to be able to have a relationship that lasts. So he'll have to keep working harder on his work, and he'll never be fulfilled completely by that. It'll be temporary significance. Then he'll worry about losing that vehicle because the relationships didn't work out, and living in the culture he's in, he's going to lose half of all that he's worked for as well. So then he's going to feel like a failure then. He's going to know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
How many follow this, by the way? I'm curious. You know why you can follow it? Because you know you're witnessing it all the time. Because I'm just pointing out what you've always seen but had no words for. Or different words. So you're the linchpin in the whole thing. So frankly, you know, if you don't give a shit about yourself and don't want to really be who you are, that's okay with me. But to fuck over your son, who you love so much, that's a fucking problem for me. I think it is for you too.
It is very much, and I so much want to be there for both him and my daughter and the grandchildren.
I'm afraid to ask about your daughter. Is she a boy or a girl? How does she live? Not what is she? I know she's a girl. How does she live?
I think she has problems as well.
Well, everybody has problems. That's a sign of life. But what type of problems? Does she live as a boy or girl? Has she rebelled because she doesn't like the way you are and become a woman? Or has she modeled you also?
Of course she has in one way.
She what, I'm sorry?
Of course she has in one way.
In one way modeled you or rebelled
Yes.
against you?
She has not rebelled against me.
Yeah, so you got two kids because you're so strong, you got them to comply. So what are we going to do here?
Well,
By the way, I'm only talking to her for this length of time because this is only about her and her kids.
Each person who stands up to speak is a metaphor for the situation of many people in the audience. Robbins uses the lessons of these individuals to teach everyone in the room.
Mothers, I hope you're listening. Fathers, I hope you're listening. All those in this room who have mothers and fathers, I hope you're listening. Or who have had mothers and fathers. Because that's who this relates to, just in case you're interested.
Robbins has now gone through step 3, emphasizing the negative consequences of Lisa's choice on her son's life as a way of motivating her to commit to change. Early in her life, Lisa had decided to derive power from the strength of stoicism, and so had forever deprived herself of the possibility of enjoying the power that comes from vulnerability and the femininity that is associated with it. Robbins believes that she still has the choice and is willing to help her open to new possibilities by expanding her range. But first, she needs to make a commitment to correct the negative repercussions of her key decision. This is now step 4, obtaining her commitment to change.
Are you and I, are we responsible to do something about this since we have this awareness and understanding?
Yes.
Or should we just fuck it over and just
Yes.
go, well,
Yes.
it's over and nothing can be done?
No, that's one thing I really, really want to do something about.
I know that. So that's why I'm staying with you on this. because there are about 20 other things I need to do, and it's changing the time frame, but I think this is too important. I think this is more important than what we were going to do in some ways. I know it's more important for them. And I know that if you don't do this, you won't be able to live with yourself. Which is already how you felt, because you've known this even though you couldn't word it this way. At some level you've known this, have you not? And you felt guilty about it, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, can I just tell you something? I've been very intense here, and you know that I'm not harsh with you, but I've also been intense in terms of putting this on your shoulders. But I have to remind you that I love that you're willing to do something about this, and you're so committed, and you will.
Now that Lisa has faced the worst consequences of her key decision on her children, Robbins moves on to step 5, building up Lisa's emotional resources. Once one has recognized what is wrong, it is important not to get sidetracked by feelings of guilt or shame. Robbins will now acknowledge Lisa's successes in raising her children and will recognize the ways that her key decision has served a positive purpose. In this way, Lisa will build on her successes.
This was all part of a stage that was important for everybody. And you're never going to know why. And you don't have to. Your son's gift from all of this is he's in touch with the sensitivities of life. And because of that, the feminine side of him is well developed. If all we do now is get the masculine side well developed, he'll be the best man he could possibly be. Because the truth is we want to develop both parts of all of us, don't we? That makes us more whole people. We just want to make sure when both parts are developed, we live primarily in our essence and we have access to the other. If I was just masculine, you wouldn't be listening to me.
No.
And most of the people here, most of the women here certainly would not listen to me. But they've seen there's all this femininity as well. There's a feminine energy, there's a caring, there's a sensitivity in me that's gigantic. And there's a masculine part that's gigantic. Since both are so developed, I can go back and forth for whatever needs it. But what guides me is this sense of mission, which is a masculine force. And there's a discipline and a focus to it. So we wanted to have both. So can I just remind you that you gave him beautiful gifts? Is you've given him a sensitivity most men will never have. And every woman wants a man who is masculine but is also feminine. They want to be with a man who cares and has the sensitivity of a woman also, but is strong enough to be their man. So you've given him a gift that most men don't have. So I think I have to honor you for that. And your daughter has some strengths she wouldn't have if you weren't her mother. So please take in what you have succeeded at. There you go. Because you can only build on success. Do you agree with me or disagree with me?
I entirely agree with you. That's why I think it's such a pity with my son, because he has all those qualities.
Yes. So
and he's beautiful.
So let's just help the next stage. And we're not going to change it all, and your job is not to do it. He's got to find his own way, but you can assist. I think what you have to do for both your children is you have to acknowledge their gifts or they won't hear you. They need to know that they have gifts, because right now they know their weaknesses. They don't even know what the weaknesses are, they just know they're there. So first you must give them their strengths. You need to sit down with them and say, you know what, I've been living my life as a man, and here's what you managed to pull from that, and I so love and honor you. You developed a sensitivity in responding to me as being a man to you and your father that is beautiful. It's a beautiful sensitivity. But I have done you wrong without meaning to, because I've made you think feminine is weak and it's ugly because I'm your idea of a woman. And you've never known me, my son. You've never seen the real me. You've seen one part of me, but you've not seen the deepest part of me, because I've been covering it up my whole life. So of course you would think this woman over here is shopping and everything else and irresponsible. And if you'd been successful to make her like me, then you would have had a terrible relationship too, because then she'd be totally responsible and you'd be bored silly. You'd have a business partner. That wouldn't have worked either. I'm just learning these things, and I don't have the perfect answer for you, but I've got to tell you that your mother's a woman. And when your dad comes at me and he's strong enough, I fight, you see, but then I go inside and I get a little scared and have these feelings and stuff, and I've been hiding those even from myself. Will you take me shopping? Because I need to get a purse that has purses inside of that purse, and little purses inside of that, and purses inside of that. I've been compartmentalizing most of my life, but I need to do it externally now instead of inside. I've been doing what women do. I've been doing purses and purses and purses. You ever see a woman's purse? It's fucking unbelievable. You open it up, it's got a purse inside. You open that, it's got a purse inside that. Inside that, there's 3 other purses. What the fuck is that?
Robbins has moved to step 6, strategizing ways in which Lisa can explore new decisions and enjoy new experiences. Where she used to get things done by being authoritative, now she can also get things done by being emotional and vulnerable. Robbins and Lisa will explore her emotional range in a variety of ways. These new strategies will also impact the problem points in her relationships. By asking her son to take her shopping, Lisa will give him an experience of being the masculine one. Robbins will also give her a series of specific directives for taking action, some to follow immediately, some to carry out later in relation to her son, including an apology for the ways her key decision had hurt him.
I'm just curious, what are we going to do about this?
I don't know.
That's a good answer. So can I give you a couple of things that I'd like you to consider and do in the next couple of days? First thing I want you to do is I want you to call your son tonight during the break. And I want you to talk about whatever.
Okay, yes.
And I want you to talk from the heart, not from the head. And I want you to apologize to him for whatever you need to apologize to him. And I need you to first tell him what's great. First I want you to tell him everything you're proud of in him. And I want you to tell him how amazing it was how he's been able to find these parts of himself and be a man in spite of the fact that you were so forceful. Loving, but forceful. I want you to tell him how great it is he's found that sensitive side. I want you to tell him that you want to apologize to him for constantly giving him the wrong impression of what a beautiful woman is and making him think that the person that you were to him is all you were when you're really showing him the smallest part of you. And explain to him what that means. Tell him you have a red purse and there's stuff in it. Tell him you want to ask him to go shopping with you. I'm serious. I want you to ask him to take you shopping. And I want you, when you go shopping, to be a giddy little girl. Can you demonstrate a giddy little girl for us?
What's giddy?
Giddy means, is there a lady here who could demonstrate a giddy little girl for us here, please? Yes, ma'am. Would you demonstrate a giddy little girl for us? Go ahead. You see her? You can see her face. Look at her. She's hiding. She's like, can you see her face? Yeah. Could you show her the giddy little girl? Why don't you step out here and just be giddy? Like, what if we said, you just won a shopping spree?
Come on, give it to me. Should we go?
That's it, you're doing good.
Should we go shopping? Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. Shh. Let me ask you a question. Yeah, put that on, that'll help.
Robbins takes Lisa back to the time when she still had more choices of who she was going to be in order to reconnect her to all her possibilities.
Have you ever felt the way she's talking about? Have you ever felt that way? Maybe not about shopping, but have you ever felt that, like, kind of feeling?
Not with shopping, I think.
Not with shopping, but you felt that about... Have you ever felt that about something else?
With playing.
Yeah, feeling like you're playful. Have you ever felt, like, excited inside? Like, really, like a little girl excited?
No.
No.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago, but you have felt that way?
Yes, I have.
Yes. So, it's in you then. Mm-hmm. When did you feel that way?
Excited before Christmas when I was
Before
a child.
Christmas when you're a child. Oh, that's great. Okay, I'd like you to close your eyes. There you go. And I want you to become a little girl again, and it's almost Christmas. It's the night before Christmas. There it is. And what, the night before Christmas, feel what you're feeling then. How did you move around the night before Christmas? When you were walking around, moving around, how did you move around? Did you move, yeah, that's it. That's it. How did you check things out when you were really excited the night before Christmas? That's it. That's it. That's it. Oh, that's it. That's it. That's right. That's right. How excited were you? Feel it. That's it. That's it in there. Oh, that's it. Good. Feeling it right in there. That's it. Feeling that. And what did your voice sound like? Make the sound of yourself as a little girl. Would you say something you said at that age? The way you said it.
I hope it's a pair of shoes.
Yes, I hope it's a pair of shoes. Oh. Yes. Say something else you would have said back then when you were really excited as a little girl.
Maybe a puppy.
Maybe a puppy. Oh, that's it. Look at her face. Can you see her face?
As Lisa goes back to her childhood, Robbins arranges for a corrective experience where she is loved, appreciated, and cherished in her girlhood in order to counter the harsh, punitive atmosphere in her father's house that had led her to her key decision.
What do you remember a puppy you once had? Mm-hmm. Do you remember the day you got him?
Mm-hmm.
What was his name?
His name was Petter.
Petter?
Petter.
And what kind of dog was he?
It was an Airedale Terrier.
Yes. And what did you feel?
Oh, I was so happy.
Yes.
When I got that dog.
Do you have a dog now?
No.
No. Okay, I'm going to give you some assignments now real quick, and we'll deal with the rest of this on Sunday. But I want you to do a couple things. Number one, I want you to call your son, and I want you to love the heck out of him and tell him everything you're proud of about him that he's developed. Two, I want you to apologize to him. Because you didn't intend this, but you still want to apologize, right? And you know what you're going to apologize about. What are you going to tell him?
I will tell him about what we have done here.
Yes.
And I will also tell him that it's an assignment, so he doesn't get the... but...
Shh, don't judge, listen.
I will call him because it will probably be in the middle of the night.
Yes. Okay. That's right.
I'll figure that out, whether it's in the middle of the night. And I will tell him that about that role model.
Yes.
That I've been to him, and how he's repeating the same thing as with his father. Yes. I don't think he even knows.
He doesn't, honey.
He doesn't. And I will tell him, I don't exactly know how to tell him about the femininity, because I kind of think it is often easier for me to show by being.
That's true. Wow, did you hear that? Give her a hand. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's the truth. You can't tell him about femininity. You got to show it to him. So you're going to tell him you're going to visit him when you come back home. And tell him you're going to show him what you mean.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I think that is more in line with who I am. You know,
right.
to live it. And of course that takes some practice.
Yes. Well, you know what to do? It'll take just letting go. You don't have to practice being feminine. You just have to let go of what you've been practicing. You've been practicing masculinity. You've been practicing for a lot of... There you go. How many saw that happen just now? Raise your hand if you saw that happen. Her shoulder just dropped, boom, as I said that. Did you feel your shoulder just drop when I said that?
I could feel it.
Because this is what you've been doing. You've been practicing masculinity for all these years. By the way, your body's going to feel so much better. Because masculinity is tight all the damn time. That's why your shoulder just... Did you feel your shoulder drop? Was it
it's like
sudden?
a stress was coming off.
Instantly. The reason you've been stressed is you've been something you're not. You've been practicing masculinity. You don't have to practice femininity. You just got to let go of the crap you've been practicing. Yeah. Can you feel a difference in your face right now? Does it feel tighter or softer or more relaxed?
Much softer.
Yeah. How many can see the difference in her face? Right? This is unbelievable, right? So it's starting to soft, and your neck too, that's good, you can feel that, and your shoulders are dropping.
My voice is changing.
That's right, you can hear your voice changing. Notice you're not practicing this, are you? You're just letting go. Letting go of what you have been practicing. You've been practicing for a lifetime for a role you were not made for. Now it's time to let your son stop practicing for a role he's not made for.
Yes.
And it'll take time, it won't be instantly. He's not going to understand it all instantly. If you cried with him, that'd be really beautiful too.
I might. I don't know.
Yeah, you will. There you go. Look at that right there. Go over here to see that music right there. That's it. And when you do that, you're going to give the chance for him to be a man again. When you cry in his presence, when you're vulnerable in his presence, that's what'll bring the man out in him, is when you're back to being a woman. And then he'll begin to realize that his mama, the one he loves most, as his role model of what love would be, that really is beautiful, and that she sees it's beautiful, and she feels it, and she is it. And then all the rest of it's been an act that she's been practicing, trying to do what would be necessary, she thought, to survive. But your sister survived, your father.
My sister. Well, she hardly survived. But that's another...
But did she?
Well, she's living. She's moving around.
I'm talking about with your father. Did she survive him? Did he stop beating her?
Yes, yes.
That's the only part I'm talking about. She has all kinds of other problems. I'm not here to try and take her on right now, too, because there's not enough time. And I see the...
He didn't beat her.
I know, and I see the anger you have for her.
Okay.
And whenever you do that, honey, you go back to being a man.
When I'm angry at her?
That's where it all started.
Robbins has an extraordinary ability to pick up on emotions and facial expressions that most would have missed. As he was ready to end the intervention, he recognized a core emotional issue for Lisa, her relationship with her sister. What you are about to see is an extraordinary intervention for anger and resentment. In order to heal the relationship with her sister, Robbins retraces steps 3 through 7 in relation to Lisa's sister.
I almost said she's a bitch, but that would be inappropriate.
Inappropriate? Fuck appropriate. She is a bitch, right? She's a bitch to you.
This is an example where Robbins' use of strong language breaks down Lisa's attempts to censor herself. Instead of trying to be appropriate, Lisa should just tell the whole truth.
Well,
Oh, she's a bitch to you, isn't she? Or are you a bitch to her? Or was it both ways?
that went both ways.
Yeah, I think so too. That resentment goes a long way back, doesn't it?
Yes, yes.
Because you thought she stole something from you. You thought she stole love from you.
Mm-hmm.
She
I thought
didn't.
she did.
She didn't.
Oh, of course I know she didn't.
But it felt that way, didn't it?
It felt that way.
And you hated her for it your whole life. And you've tried to not be like her your whole life. And you've judged her your whole life.
Mm-hmm. I have.
And now your son is fucked up.
They're all fucked up. So it has to stop in one way.
It has to stop. And the only
I
way
have
to...
6 grandchildren. If they get involved in this thing also.
Who's the linchpin to it all? Do you know what linchpin means? There's different
The
metaphors.
connection.
Yeah, in essence. But it's not just a connection. Who's the one that, if that person pulled out, the whole thing would change. I'll give you a different metaphor. If you have vanilla ice cream, and you start pouring and pouring and pouring chocolate in, it's white, it's white, it's white, it's white, and then bam, there's a moment when it turns brown. That's called the tipping point.
Okay.
Okay?
The drop of water that has it
Yes.
run over.
But if you think it's a certain way, like right now it's all vanilla, it's all a certain color, everybody's doing a certain thing, but if we just keep adding one new element, the whole thing will change.
Yeah.
You could add that one new element. Not by controlling it, by being vulnerable, by apologizing, by loving, by crying. So I don't want you to call your son after all. You can't talk to your son until you've talked to your sister. Not just talk to your sister. Not until you can get to your sister and tell her what you've thought and how sorry you are that you've hated her all these years when all she wanted was love just like you. And I don't care if she treats you like shit. I don't want you to do it for her. I want you to do it for your son. And if you're not sincere, you'll never be able to talk to your son and get through to him.
I can easily do. Not easily, but I will do that.
Why can you do that? Because you know it's true?
I know it's true.
Okay.
I know it's true.
What will you tell her?
I will tell her that I competed with her and that I have thought badly of her and that I regret that. And I have felt bad about that.
I bet you have, honey, because I know you have a big heart.
Yeah, I wanted so much to love her.
You do love her, honey. You've just not allowed yourself to feel it.
That's true. Yeah.
You can feel it right now, can't you?
Yes.
Where do you feel it?
I feel it here.
Yeah. Feel it completely.
It's kind of, I feel it all over.
That's nice. How does it feel when you're really loving her with no judgment?
It's like I'm free.
I just want you to know that right now you've just moved into a position that is totally feminine. Men stand the way you've been standing the entire time. Women, when they're feminine, always have their legs on an angle. It's always on an angle of some sort. And you just suddenly went for the first time in an hour and a half's conversation to this feminine place.
So I know how to do it. I know how to do it.
You know how to feel it. Here's how you get your femininity back. You get your femininity back by loving where you used to hate. By loving where you used to hurt. By loving where you used to shut down. Now, can you feel your breasts? Can you feel them?
Yeah.
Not like a guy like this, not that kind of thing.
No.
Can you feel them like gently?
By stroking her breast, Lisa will access more deeply the emotions and physical state of loving and nurturing.
Gently.
Gently.
Gently. Women hate it when men do it that way. Do it the way a woman would do it. There you go. A little soft. That's it. What does that feel like?
I can feel, it's like I can feel it from the inside and from the outside.
That's it. That's it. That's different, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Femininity is feeling from the inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside, and not blocking the feeling. How does it feel?
It feels good.
Yeah. Does it feel like natural or unnatural?
It feels completely natural.
Yeah. And as you do this, what's happened to your breathing? What's happened to your whole body?
It's kind of floating.
Floating. Think about your sister right now.
Yeah. She's hurting.
She's hurting, that's right, honey. Now you can feel what she really feels. Before you thought she was just a bitch, now you feel that she's hurting. Because when you're feminine, you can feel everything. No one has to tell you. When you're at your feminine height, you can feel everything. And you know things no one could possibly know. You don't know them here. You know them in here, don't you? What does she need?
She needs love.
Whose love does she need right now?
I think she needs mine. And she needs my acceptance.
Yes. Who needs her love and acceptance?
I need her.
When would now be a good time to make that happen?
Pardon?
When would now be a good time to let that happen?
For instance, now.
Yes. Are you feeling, can you feel her acceptance right now? I want you to
Yes,
actually,
yes. I can feel it.
She's actually sent it to you in weird ways, hasn't she? Even in the middle of upset, she's sent you her love and acceptance. Hidden with an outward shell that looked bitchy.
I think she has accepted me more than I have accepted her.
That's right, honey. But not now.
Not now.
Who's loving or accepting? Who's accepting who more, or is it now the same?
It's the same.
I want you to feel all her love for you in your body right now. The love she's had for you since a little girl. The love she's had for you even when she was mean. Or you were mean. It's still there, isn't it? Feel it to the point that it's overwhelming. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. And she's really a girl, isn't she? She's the girl you've been trying not to be like your whole life. But you're her sister and you are like her. You always have been. Are you?
It's true.
You love just as much as she loves, don't you? And you want love just as much as she does, don't you?
No, I suddenly see that I admired her. I suddenly see that I admired her because of the way she dressed. She was tall and slim and a dancer.
But at the same time, she got a lot of attention for that.
Yes.
Attention you weren't getting. So even though you loved her and admired her, you learned not to value those things. You learned to reject those things. And you learned to reject her. Even though you really love her. And she still loved you. And she still does now.
Yeah. That I'm very certain of that.
That's beautiful. Are you certain you love her?
Yes.
Are you certain you respect her?
Yes.
What will you share with her then? When you see her face to face?
We share exactly this.
How will she respond?
She will be touched.
Will she cry?
I think so.
Will you?
I think so.
You will. She will. You just did.
Yeah. It's like I can see the whole thing.
I know, honey. Did you ever have a nickname as a little girl that was sweet?
No?
It's time for one. What's a sweet little girl nickname that would make you smile?
I don't know. My sister has a nickname.
What's hers?
Baby.
That's just years of conditioning that makes you go like that.
Yeah, I know.
What would your sister call you if she was going to give you a nickname when you were still a little girl and still being feminine?
She would call me the last part of my name.
What's that?
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah, that's kind of... she even named her daughter Lisa.
Underneath anger, there is always a deep hurt and a need for love. As Lisa stroked her breast, she was able to reconnect to her deepest needs and earliest loves. As she did so, she could not but recognize that her sister had had the same deep needs and the same earliest loves.
Lisa? Lisa, may I call you Lisa?
Okay.
Are you the older sister or the younger sister?
I'm the older sister. She's 13 months younger than me.
Yeah. So you were the significant one and she came and stole the show.
Uh-huh. She did.
Time to take it back.
Now Robbins takes Lisa full circle to where she will derive power from vulnerability. She will take back the show.
That makes you smile pretty big, doesn't it? So when you tell her that's what you come to do. Well, she's had the show all these years, you come to take it back. She can't be the only girl in the family anymore. And I bet she'll smile from ear to ear.
She will. I know she will.
She's always loved you and never, ever stopped loving you. She named her daughter after you, honey. Mm-hmm. That girl, that woman loves you. And you love her.
I never saw that.
You do now, that's all
I thought she stole the name in one way.
You thought she was? This is what happens when significance is what's driving us. We think people steal things instead of honoring us. You thought she was more significant, and then you worked to be more significant by not being like her, by being more powerful and strong. You played to your father. You let him beat you as a way to try to have some form of connection, so he'd connect more with you than her. You despised her behavior. And you did it all, honey, just to try to find a way to survive, because there was no one here to share with you what was going on. No one teaches us this stuff. It's taken me 42 years to figure it out myself. But my children will never go through this, and neither will your grandchildren. And the way that happens is it's time to pour lots of chocolate in the vanilla. You've been vanilla your whole life. It's time to be chocolate and strawberry and chunky monkey and what do you like? What do you like on your desserts?
For desserts?
Yeah. Do you like hot chocolate? What do you like?
You know, if I'm going to answer that honestly, this is going to go on. Because I don't like very much desserts. Well, so if I should pick an ice cream, it would be vanilla.
Yes.
Chocolate. With a little bit of chocolate.
When no one's watching, put some nuts on top.
So,
How about a cherry? Do you like cherries? When's the last time you sucked on a cherry?
but some nuts are okay.
Lisa smiles as she says that she likes vanilla, knowing that Robbins will find this rigid and masculine. Rather than asking her to change from vanilla, Robbins suggests adding a few toppings.
Can you put some extra chocolate on it when no one's noticing? Do you like strawberries?
Yes.
Put some strawberries and some strawberry syrup in.
No strawberry syrup.
Can you put chocolate and strawberries together?
I know what I'd like.
This interchange continues the metaphor of what Lisa is going to be in the family, the chocolate that changes the ice cream. Robbins has continued to expand Lisa's range of pleasurable feminine behavior. Even more, the conversation anchors Lisa's newfound love for her sister in a universal childhood memory, the pleasure of ice cream.
What do you like?
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows. That's good, because marshmallows are girl food. They're gushy and soft. And if you put them in the hot oven, they stay gooey inside. Yeah. Chocolate, marshmallows, a few nuts on top.
And you can remove the strawberries.
All right, the strawberries are out. Strawberries are out.
Is the best thing I have ever put in my mouth.
How do you feel right now? Look at her face. Look at her face, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this beautiful woman's face. Oh. I don't want to do too much more here because we've created a fucking monster. You're a feminine monster now. How does your body feel right now? Notice she's still got that angle thing going. Check me out.
In one way, it feels smaller.
That's what she just said. In one way, it feels smaller. In another way, it feels...
Softer. And still, I'm standing strong.
Yes.
Lisa has now reconciled two qualities that she had always thought were mutually exclusive: being feminine and being strong.
Something to feel about.
Something to feel about.
That's right. So when you think of your sister now, what do you feel, Lisa?
I also feel a joy.
Yeah.
She's kind of my nearest family from the original family. My parents are dead. My
Yes.
uncles and aunts are dead.
Yes.
So
How are you going to make her feel when you go home? How do you want to make her feel? How will you make her feel? What's your mission?
my mission is to make her feel happy. Or I don't know if that's possible because she's heavily depressed.
Yes.
But
You would be depressed too if you'd spent your life without your sister.
Yeah,
I guess you know about that, though, don't you?
I know. And I'm her bigger sister also.
Yes. And so it's time for you to be a really great big sister.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing that's going to make her happy is love.
yeah.
And she needs a source that's unconditional and not judgmental. And if she gets that, she'll brighten up. And once she starts filling up with more love and appreciation,
Then there is 4 children on that side also.
yes.
That will have a more happy mother.
That's right. And so then the grandchildren will have a different life as well. So all you got to do is pour a little marshmallows, a
And
little chocolate.
and some nuts.
That's right.
Got it.
She said, I got it. And when you go do that, all she needs is love. Same thing as you. It's time for you to be a big sis, though. She's kind of been your big sis, you just didn't know it, because she's loved you even when you didn't love yourself. Time to give the gift back. Feels good to give, doesn't it? Especially love. You're good at it. You love your children. You loved them during tough times. You've always loved them, and you love them now. But your sis was one of your original loves.
That's true.
And she's one of the only people in your whole life who loved you unconditionally. Not even your father loved you unconditionally.
Oh, no.
No. She's one of the only ones ever.
That's unbelievable.
I believe it.
Yeah, and it's unbelievably true.
Yes.
It is really,
It's true.
it's true. I never thought about that.
Except the bitch stole your name for her daughter. Thief. Fucking thief. Copycat bitch.
So, how on earth could I think such thoughts?
Because you were stuck in a fear place, and when people get in fear, they focus on significance and certainty. And those are both important human needs, but they should only happen after we first love. And then the significance is a beautiful significance, the significance of wanting to give significantly, love significantly, contribute significantly. And then certainty lasts because it has the vibration of love in it, not the vibration of control in it. I'm only speaking to you now. There's no one else who should hear this.
Having spent quite some time looking backwards in Lisa's life, Robbins now, through a visualization of the future, focuses Lisa on the present and her current stage in life. He projects her into the future of all the good and the happiness that will result from her transformation. Robbins confirms Lisa's ability to revise past decisions, make new choices, reclaim her full identity, and extend to others in new ways.
There are some moments in life that you will never forget, and you will remember always. And my voice will go with you. And any time you need to remember, that's right. And then soon my voice will be your voice. That soon may have already occurred now or in a few moments. But the voice you'll hear most is the voice of your sister calling to you, Lisa, Lisa. And you'll always feel her love. And someday she'll leave this plane of existence, and you'll be so grateful that you loved before she left. And you'll know that someday you'll join her, or maybe you'll go first. But whoever goes, you'll have lived fully, because it's not how long you live, it's how you live. It's not how many years, because love doesn't know time. When you love, time disappears. When you love, you need nothing else. When you love, you disappear. It's no longer about significance. It's just about the truth of what we were all made for. And how beautiful that God has arranged at this time of your life for you to wake up at the time your sister needs you. She was there when you needed her. It's now your time to be there. And look at how the grandchildren will be touched, because you're the only one who has the memory of who she really is. You remember her as the dancer. You remember her femininity flowing. You remember that life energy that everyone couldn't help but want to be around. And now you're going to bring it back to her as her sister. You're going to dance together. You're going to get her dancing again. You're going to polish up her memories. And as they get polished up and she remembers and feels them, you'll dance together like you never danced before. She used to dance and you used to watch. Now you're going to dance. She'll watch for a while, and hopefully you'll be tricky enough to get her to show you how to be feminine, even though you already are. Hopefully she can feel how much you need her example of femininity. And that'll inspire her, because she'll do more for you than she'll do for herself. And maybe your granddaughter can participate in the dance so that the three of you can dance together. Maybe you'll discover that no years were lost. There was just a preparation for this time when you are so needed. Your love is needed now, not your head. Your head is well developed. Your heart has always been there, covered up. It's now so big it's breaking free of any constraints. And it'll make plenty of mistakes, but they'll all be the right mistakes, because they'll be mistakes from love. And then you'll begin to realize there are no mistakes that come from the heart. There are just temporary things that don't seem to be rewarded. But rewards are not the basis of love. Love lives to give. Love lives to be shared. It's not lived to be traded. You know that. You know that because you received it for many years, even when you pretended not to. And that's why you still love your sister, because you did receive it. And she needs to know you received it in spite of what it looked like. And she needs to know that you're whole today because she's the one person who loved you. She deserves a level of gratitude that will take depression away from any soul. Because what she thinks is she's not loved and her life has no meaning. And yet, she is nothing but love. She is the dance of love, and you are the dance of love. And your granddaughter deserves the dance of love. And your daughter might decide to join it, and pretty soon we'll have daughters, granddaughters, sisters all dancing together with God. I wonder what that music will sound like. And you know what? No one knows the steps, and no one has to, because it's a dance that's totally free and spontaneous. That's what makes it beautiful. And you know what? When all you girls are dancing, the boys will start joining in. They'll look clumsy and shit, but they're good to stand by. They'll be like pillars just taking in all this love, and it'll touch their souls. It'll remind them what it feels like to want to serve that kind of beauty. They'll want to serve that kind of beauty. And they'll do anything to protect it, and to love it, to support it in all its glory. All of God's glory. And soon your son won't have to be told about femininity. He'll be talking about his mother, the dancer. And he'll look for a partner to dance with. I can't wait to see your son's face when all of you are dancing. I can't wait to see your daughter's face when she sees her mama dancing. Of course, the leader will probably be you and the granddaughter, because you're the both that are closest to childhood. She, because she's just beginning, and you, because you've come back, which means you'll become younger with every day. And with all this going on, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen to your husband, but he'll figure it out.
When Lisa first stood up to speak, she was concerned about her fights with her husband. What puzzled her most was that she became frightened and cried. Robbins identified this fear as fear of vulnerability, and since vulnerability is typically associated with femininity, he concluded that Lisa had denied her own feminine nature and had lived her life as a man. He challenged her playfully with this idea until he came to the crucial question: what was her father like? This question led to the discovery of the circumstances under which Lisa, as a young child abused by her father, had made the key decision never to be vulnerable, and therefore never to be feminine. He helped her see the repercussions that this decision had on her children and directed her to specific actions to counter these repercussions. He regressed Lisa to early childhood and gave her the corrective experience of being loved and cherished. Then Robbins discovered the source of the greatest pain, the sister, whom Lisa had resented and rejected because she was vulnerable and she had been spared the father's violence. He not only reconnected Lisa to her sister, he encouraged her to claim her right to be vulnerable and to be feminine in relation to her sister, as well as in relation to everyone else in the family. And he guided her back to the present in a visualization of all the good that would result from her recovered identity. Now Lisa could experience the strength of vulnerability, and with this newfound strength, return to her family to guide them with enlightenment and wisdom. Lisa had first stood up wanting to overcome weakness, but Robbins showed her that weakness would be her real strength. I recently spoke on the phone with Lisa in Norway 6 months after the event. She was very happy to hear from me. She told me that as soon as she got back to Norway, she had many long conversations with her son. And then a miracle happened. The son fell in love with a wonderful woman. He emailed his mother saying, "Mother, the world smiles at me. I'm in wonderful company." So Lisa's very happy about her son. She also told me that she wears skirts now as often as possible, and she goes shopping with girlfriends. But the best of all is her relationship with her sister. Lisa has engaged her sister in friendship, helped her with her children, and in many other ways. Lisa is an artist, and recently she had an opening for an art exhibit. She invited her sister and a common friend. The friend said to the sister, "How do you know when somebody loves you?" And Lisa's sister answered, "When my sister Lisa invites me to an art opening, I know I am loved." Wonderful story from Lisa.
What's happened with your sister and what's happened with your family?
Yeah, with my sister, it's absolutely amazing what has happened to my sister. And you know, it's almost crying when I talk about it because it has made a lot of impact on her. That I have changed, you know, because I thought she was a pain in the ass. You know, she was whining and she had all these pains and wanted everybody to feel sorry for her. And now I don't in one way I don't know what I do, but it's different. Now she calls me and talks to me normally. No pains, no nothing. And she wants me to help her to get the relationship with her youngest daughter. So it's so fantastic. And I have all these ideas about how it can be arranged. Like we could change that my sister could take apart my grandmother role in my family. And then I could take a part of being grandmother and mother in her family.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because mothers, you know, they aren't always all that fun.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And my son is in a relationship.
Oh, he is? Oh, wow, that's
I called him immediately when I came back because I can tell him about you and I because he's been to more of your seminars.
Yes.
When he was studying to become a chiropractor. And also here. So I could tell him about this woman, this feminine masculine thing, and I could tell him about, you know, suggestions to him. And now he's happier than he has ever been. And you should see his children. They used to be stressed because the parents were stressed and unhappy. Yes. And I told you about, yeah, you know how his difficulties, and I guess they're over. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. So I went shopping with two of the girls from there. We had a girly day, 6 hours, and I said to myself, gosh, I wasn't bored, I wasn't upset, I just enjoyed it.
That's so great.
I didn't buy anything except the necklace.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's lovely.
But then the day after I went shopping here in Docklands at the center there with my daughter, and then this and that and that.
That's beautiful.
Did you go with her? Was it fun? That's great.
Yeah, and we just, it was not difficult at all to decide. I just...
It's a
So
new
shopping's not so bad after all.
It's going to be costly.
I agree.
What would you say to people who don't think they can change because they've been doing things a certain way for years? Because you've lived your life for a long time a certain way, and you've so changed it so beautifully. What can you say to those people that think they can't change?
Well, everything is possible. It's and I think for me it has something to do with trust.
Yes.
You know, I'm not quite certain that I could have done this major shift alone.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think I could. So it's it's trust, because I felt we were online all the time.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I've been abused enough in my life, and I knew I was completely trusting, and I got emotional, but I still stood on my both feet.
Absolutely.
I wasn't about to fall over. And we had some fun interactions also, I can remember.
Yeah.
I said, he's not going to get me here. So I really have thought about being having troubles with the masculine feminine side of me.
Yes, yes.
And in one way, it's feminine for me is somebody who cannot stand on their own two legs.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And now I'm sort of learning to be a strong feminine woman.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So it doesn't feel weak to you, does it?
It doesn't feel weak at all. And I must tell you, at the airport, when I came, I was seasick on the plane.
Yes.
That little plane going to LA.
Yes.
Over the mountains. So when I came to the airport, I was confused. And I'm never confused at airports. I'm used to airports. So I said, you're not going to be able to do that. And I stood there and I started crying. And I said, Tony. And then people came from all over. Shall I help you? And I got VIP treatment.
I heard a story, someone told me that your sister had an art show and someone asked her about does she feel loved by you? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I can tell you that. We were sitting there, I invited her, as I invited 35 people to the school.
Her being your...
My sister.
Mm-hmm.
But she was on my mailing list,
yes.
kind of, or phoning list. So I called her, said, we're going to show some of my art, my paintings, will you come to the vernissage? So she came and then she sat at the table, and then my friend asked her, how do you know you're loved? And my sister, nobody loves me. That's her theory. Yes. And then after a while, when I came back, she said, I know Annelise loves me. Oh, that's me. Wow. Because she invited me to her art show. And you know, I started crying.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because that's so little in one way. Yes. You know, I felt, you know.
But it mattered so much.
Absolutely.
It mattered so much for her, and it mattered that she said that was... And then I stopped that old childish thing.
Yes.
Of course, I'd stopped it before also.
Yes. Yes.
But then I could feel, I was filled up with love for her. Oh. I didn't feel pity. I didn't feel, you know, like she was a wounded dog. I felt love for her. So that was really fantastic.
Oh, that's beautiful. Last question I ask you is, does this stuff last? Because people go, well, yeah, she felt happy for the moment, or she made a change for the moment. Does this stuff last? Is this who you are now? How do you know this lasts? How do you know this is you?
Yeah, I discovered it in so many ways, that it's the lost me that is recovered.
Yes.
So it's who I was meant to be. I've rediscovered my love for nature, that I can sort of, it's like when I can stop all this hatred thing and love my sister, I can now, you know, I feel so joyous about sunsets.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so it's a rediscovery. So of course it's going to last because it's me. It was the other stuff that was not me. So when that's away.
Yes. How beautiful.
Yeah. So.
I'm glad you got you back.
Yeah.
Yes, so am I.
So glad you shared you with us.
Yeah. Thank you.
I couldn't care less.
That's right. You got harder, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And tougher.
Mm-hmm.
So you became a man to try to survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's the lost me that is recovered.
Yes.
So it's who I was meant to be.
He didn't beat her.
I know, and I see the anger you have for her.
Okay. I almost said she's a bitch, but that would be inappropriate.
Then I stopped that old childish thing. Of course, I'd stopped it before also, but then I could feel I was filled up with love for her.
Well, I don't want to be judgmental towards her.
Yes.
But I disagreed strongly on much of the things she did. You know, like spending, you know, going shopping, using up money.
So I went shopping with two of the girls from there. We had a girly day, 6 hours, and I said to myself, gosh, I wasn't bored, I wasn't upset, I just enjoyed it.